This is Chet Holmgren, and I'm down to dunk.
This is AJ Mitchell, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Alex Caruso, and I'm down to dunk.
It's like baby bottle pop. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. This is Adam Flagler, and I'm down to dunk.
Hey, it's Isaiah Hartenstein, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Cason Wallace, and I'm down to dunk.
I can't spell Lucas. Hey, how do you spell Lucas? How do you spell Lucas?
This is Lou Dort, and I'm down to Dort.
This is Nikola Topic, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Dylan Jones, and I'm down to dunk. This is Isaiah Joe, and I'm down to dunk.
And there's probably like 50 to 75 Beanie Babies.
Give me like your top 3 Pokemon.
Brother, I can't even name.
This is Jay Will, and I'm down to dunk.
Sometimes the way his brain works is it leaves a lot to be desired.
This is Kenrich Williams, and I'm down to dunk.
Charmander.
Yeah.
Charmander. Are you more of a Charmeleon guy?
Charmeleon.
This is Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, and I'm down to dunk.
Schlecht. You know what it
Schlecht?
means? Yeah.
That means like bad.
It means bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's me.
Well, it was a good interview, so it wasn't bad.
J-Dub, year 3, and I'm down to dunk for the 3rd time. Thank you.
Welcome to Down to Dunk. I'm your host, Andrew Schlecht. We're part of the Athletic Podcast Network. With me on a Monday, perhaps for the second time due to technical difficulties, is my good friend Michele Vera. Michele, what's up?
Hey, it's great to be here. And I mean, we just had a blast for 7 minutes, and now we're back to our usual routine. This is all I will say.
We are back. And the Thunder, back in the regular season, because you lose games in the regular season. That's just part of it, especially whenever you're playing down several guys. The Thunder lost by 2 to the Dallas Mavericks, which means I win the belt, by the way.
Wow.
Taylor was already bragging in the chat, in our group chat, that he had won the belt, but then the Thunder made that close. I thought that game was over.
Yeah.
They were down 10 with about 2 minutes left, and it just felt like, boy, like this thing is done. Like, put a fork in them. And then they just fought back. You had the back-to-back threes by J-Dub. You had just the crazy sequence where Mark calls a challenge, which I felt like that should have been reviewable anyways, where he shouldn't have had to call a challenge. But anyways, they end up getting the ball, the Mavs end up getting the ball back, but it was really no advantage to the Thunder to challenge it, except for it was going to be harder to, they had 3 seconds to get it across half court. But then Shea ends up getting tied up with, Kyrie Irving anyways, and wins the jump, and Thunder get the ball back, and the Mavericks did the smart thing and fouled up 3, and the Thunder almost pulled it off with Dort getting the ball out at 3 and just didn't get a good enough look. And now if he had a good look, I fully think Dort would have knocked that thing down, but didn't get a good enough look.
Yeah, it was a game where, the Mavs were on a second night of a back-to-back, I think.
Yeah, they were in San Antonio, and, no Luka Doncic. They blew out the Spurs. That wasn't much of a contest.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was second night of a back-to-back.
Yeah, they played, I think, a good game. They were incredibly aggressive on the board, and this is the first time that the small ball really creates a great issue. I think just on the defensive end, I would say, because on the offensive end, yes, for a few moments at the beginning of the game, OKC tried to see how they could approach Lively, but it ended up really matter for 5 to 6 minutes, and then they were able to get to the cup quite a lot. I think OKC played a very good offensive game, and also I don't have the number in front of me, but if you look at the first chance defense, not the overall defense per possession, I think OKC played great. It was just too many second chance points, sometimes third or fourth chance points, and in a game that you lose by 2 points, this is it. OKC lost 2 games by 2 points that you can address to the other team shooting very well from 3, and this is randomness that you have to just withstand as a team in the regular season, but also just a few chances here and there, which shows how much of a cushion teams like OKC has. Granted, there was no Luka Doncic, but OKC was down several players that could have helped. Chet, Hartenstein, and Caruso. it's one of those nights where I think that if you want to look shot for shot, I don't think that OKC created worse look than Dallas. Cason Wallace had so many wide open threes.
Yeah,
And
5 of
it's-
them.
Yeah, all wide open, all great shots. And you can say, okay, Kazan had a bad night. Dylan Jones had the night of his life so far. Still, I do think that again in games like this, it's about a few moments in the game. And credit to Dallas, credit to Kyrie, credit to PJ Washington to start the game like if it was playoffs again. Credit to them. They really played a good game. And again, it happens.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Mark really summarized it well in that I don't think the Thunder really took advantage of being the dominant perimeter team last night, and they should have been the dominant perimeter team. They have been really almost every single game this season, and they just weren't last night. I thought that they let the Mavs get into the paint a lot easier than they should have. I thought you saw like a lot. There was some, Jaden Hardy, who hasn't played, it's funny. There's like a theme of last night. It's like so-and-so Maverick that hasn't played really well this season got into a rhythm. It started with PJ Washington, who has not played well this season at all, got into a rhythm and made shots. Jaden Hardy, who has not played really very well this season, got into a rhythm and made some shots. Najee Marshall, who actually had like some back-breaking turnovers that almost like if the Thunder somehow won that game last night, let's say Dort gets the shot off and he makes it and the Thunder win, I think you're looking at Najee and saying like that dude wet the bed, turned the ball over like crazy at the end of the game, was part of the reason why this thing happened. But he made some like tough mid-range shots that were allowed because the Thunder didn't stop guys from getting into the lane. And like that was, I think, the biggest problem that they had last night is that those guys got too many comfortable mid-range, easy looks. And, once you get an NBA player in rhythm, these are the best players in the world at playing the game of basketball. And like, it doesn't really matter how bad PJ Washington has been. And by the way, he's been really bad. I mean, he had a career high in offensive rebounds. He had a season high in points, season high in rebounds last night. He had made 3 free throws up until last night. 3. That's how many he had made, and he was 3 of 8. Last night he was 10 of 10. I bet you have all the way back to like Harrison Barnes or something like that to have like a non-Luka Kyrie player that took 10 free throws.
Harrison Barnes.
Seriously. That just can't be the case. That somebody else. It was a very, very weird night. And like, I don't know, and maybe this is just me and like my stubbornness, but one, I kind of refuse to take away a whole lot from that game just because it is such weird circumstances for both teams. And like PJ Washington being at the center of that situation just continues to be strange for me. He's a Thunder killer. Absolutely. Christian A in the chat. He's a Thunder killer. Yeah, he has been. He absolutely has been. But I just refuse to believe that is the guy that PJ Washington is, because we have a larger body of work that shows that PJ Washington is not some great NBA player. It just so happens that he's amazing when he's here. Not only with the Mavericks, he scored 60 points with the Hornets in the Thunder Paycom Arena, before he became a Maverick. I mean, it is wild. It is wild what he does.
He liked those irons. What can I say?
Honestly, like the Thunder just need to I think the best way the Thunder could spend their draft picks right now is to just trade for PJ Washington just to get him off the Mavs. I don't even know that you necessarily need to play him here. I don't know if he'll play that well if he's on the team, but just get him off the Mavs. Because if he was off the Mavs, Thunder would have won the series. Last year, they probably win this game last night. Just get him off the team. Just spend your picks, sit him down and let him hang out with Air Bud. Just get the guy off the Mavericks.
Do you know that I had one of the crucial moments of my life while watching the game. I agree with Cage on a call before it happened.
Wow, let's hear this.
Yeah, I mean, I was having on the back of my mind, wow, Lively is camping down there quite a lot. And like a few seconds later, Cage went into this great monologue of, hey, look, and he said it live. I mean, I counted 6 seconds. Said, yeah, Cage, okay. And those were 6 seconds. Anyhow, I said this because I think that one of the side effect, one of the not the side effect, the root causes of allowing guys to be in the paint with a little bit more ease. It's also a fact that I don't think that Dallas had one single alley-oop.
Yeah.
No one.
Oh, no, they did not. They did not have one lob slam. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Not a single lob slam.
Yeah, which is part of stretching the defense in such a way that you don't overhelp. You always stay home with the big guy, which is a choice that I don't really think mattered quite a lot. I think that guys like Kyrie, you should probably try to get a little bit closer to him, maybe. But it's so hard because Kyrie is a great lob thrower.
He made some of the dumbest shots last night. I sat
exactly
a little bit closer seat than I typically sit in at the games last night, and just like getting to see him a little bit closer, and just like some of the shots that he made were just like what do you? There's nothing you can do. And like Shea did the same thing to the Mavericks. It's just that caliber of player. And Kyrie's still that. I mean, you talk to Mavs fans, you talk to Mavs people that cover the Mavs. I mean, Kyrie has been the best Maverick this season, and we kind of got to see that, firsthand last night.
Yeah, and again, Gray Paper on the chat says they would have beat us by 40 if they were throwing their usual lobs. I don't think so. I really think that OKC did something schematically to have a guy really, really close to the big guy and not help like they can do on pick and rolls. They decide, okay, we switch the pick and roll, we keep the guy home on the big man, and so we are not in a position that there is a lob to be given away, which again was something that happened a lot in the playoffs. So I think that if you have Chet there instead of J-Dub, maybe you can do both things: take away the lob and protect the rim a little bit better. But it's a choice, and clearly, Luka being out, it's not really, as someone is mentioning again in the chat, is part of that. But Kyrie is able to do that as well. When Luka was out, Kyrie was murdering OKC anyway last year. So I really think that there is something schematically that OKC did. Since we were speaking about Shea, what is your take on the amount of shots? He didn't take enough, in my opinion, last night. I said it in the first 7 minutes of the show that nobody will ever listen. I think that 19 on a game where you are clearly onto something.
He was feeling it. He was totally.
Yeah, it's 26 offensive possession, 25, whatever.
13,
I mean, I'm not saying
13 of 19 last night for Shea.
Yeah, and I'm okay not going too much into the 3 points because there is there is a logic on that. But again, and I'm not saying you should have taken 40 shots. 25, 26 plus the free throws, that is something that I think could have happened last night.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you say that because Shea has talked about this in the last week about how I think if this were last season, I think Shea would have done that last night. I think he would have. He is extremely driven this season, not to win the MVP, not to have these like massive, stats of his own, but to put this team in a position to win in the playoffs. And I think that he knows, and he's told us that he knows this, that he has got to get all of his teammates ready for the playoffs, and it is his responsibility. So I just don't know. I think that he is looking at this season, and this is where like Presti and Mark and Shea are all like shoulder to shoulder at this point, along with Clay Bennett, by the way, all shoulder to shoulder, trying to get this team to win an NBA championship. And I think part of that is Shea knowing and Mark knowing and Sam knowing and Clay knowing that he can't do it on his own. That like there's been no player in the history of the league that has been able to actually win it. Now you can get all the way to the finals. There have been players that have done that. Allen Iverson has done that. But he just, once he got there, there was just no chance. LeBron did it, with Cleveland.
Yeah. You can see that Luka did it a little bit.
Yeah, Luka's done it. Once you get there, if you're all by yourself, you almost have no shot to actually win the whole thing. And for the most part, those teams don't make it to the finals either. You know, we're talking about some outlier teams and even some outlier players in that. But like, you can't do it on your own. And so he needs J-Dub to be better. I mean, J-Dub was a huge reason why they were in that game in the fourth quarter.
Because of Shea. There was a point which counters exactly what I mentioned. Again, this was more of a feeling. Like, there were moments where, oh, you can attack that. I support, understand, and love the approach. So I'm not saying, you should take 25. And it just popped into my mind. And so I wanted to discuss it out loud, more so than having a strong opinion on it, if that makes sense. Because there was a moment, I think it was like late in the fourth quarter. Well, not late. It was when Shea came back to the court that he had one of those avenues. And instead of getting down, he played a possession to generate. It was clear from the beginning of the possession that he wanted to do something special, and he gave Job the best shot of the game, and he nailed it. Nailed it.
Yeah, he did.
So best meaning best quality of shot.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that this is, if you want to envision when Hartenstein will be back, those are the passes that can really unlock J-Dub. He's really good when he has certain kind of threes, and the one that he can get the ball straight from the mid post is one of the best for him. And so that moment was the moment where Job really changed the way in which he was playing. I think it was a little bit passive in the first three quarters. He had moments, but it was overall a little bit passive.
Yeah.
So I really like it. I just wanted to discuss it because, again, it was a little bit apparent to me last night. There were moments where it could have gotten a little bit more of that.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I could that have been the difference in winning and losing the game? Sure. I also just think like their perimeter defense could have just been better overall.
Yeah.
To me, like that is probably like the biggest thing for them, is that they just needed to play a little bit sharper.
Yeah. Again, grabbing maybe 2-3 contested rebounds, which, I mean, we're just like the miss on the free throws that led to the Grimes 3. That was just a killer.
Yeah. I mean, it's just gonna be tough on the boards until they get Hartenstein back. You know, like it's just flat out is. And honestly, there were a lot of moments in that game where I saw them just scrapping for boards.
Yeah.
And they had, and the ones that they got, it felt like they're worth like a little bit more for some reason, but like they still got out rebounded 53-29.
Yeah.
And they're scrapping, like just think about what a team like this would look like. Because Mark talked about like, how does this work? Like, how does it work that you can play all these guys that are 6'6" and shorter, against these really big teams? And he's like, well, it's really just about who these guys are. It's about who the smaller guys are, is why we can do it. It's just like, it'd be funny to see like a team see the Thunder be like, oh, well, let's try that and not have the dogs that the Thunder do. And they would get murdered. I mean, the Thunder got killed on the boards last night, but there are a lot of times where they're scrapping and clawing for the little boards that they could get, Yeah. And still, like, they took more shots than the Mavericks, which is kind of the goal of all of this. I mean, it was 87-84 in shots taken, and that's a big deal. Also, part of the reason why I think the Mavericks had control of this game is that for a large majority of it, they just didn't turn the ball over.
Yeah.
And once they started to turn the ball over toward the end of the game, that's when you saw a momentum shift toward the Thunder's way, and it was just kind of too little too late there.
Yeah. And again, if you want to find even a less important metric, I mean, OKC shot the free throw line 76%. This is not really what it should be about for OKC. Shea was 9 out of 11, fine. Dort missed 2, weird. Aaron Wiggins 1. So even these little things may be the difference between a win and a loss. Again, we're nitpicking because I don't think that neither me or you are putting too much stock into a game like this. Where
no.
Would it be great to win it? Sure, awesome. I mean, it's Is it underlying some fault of this team? No, it just underlines the fact that they are down 3 big men and one of the best perimeter defender they have. And again, we have seen in nights like this. I mean, AJ Mitchell was closing. This is an experience that with Caruso on the bench probably doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Dylan Jones played a full game without moments where I had questions of who that guy was or what he was doing on the court. He played a pretty good game, pretty good. Not really embarrassed by anybody on defense. Pretty sharp in his choices. He nailed 2 shots, which from 3, which clearly helped his case. He made a few great reads. Again, I think that these moments are there as opportunities. Will they be continuously available during the season? Probably not. But I really think that this was time used extremely well by Dylan Jones. I think in the first 2-3 games I said, hey, even if it's garbage time, you need to take it. This was not garbage time, and he definitely took it and made the best of it.
Yeah. Isaiah Joe just hasn't really been great as a starter either.
Reasons?
Which has been
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's just like a rhythm thing or what exactly it is, but it's just kind of interesting to see that dynamic there. I thought Wiggs started the game great and then was kind of, I mean, he just missed a lot of shots, after his nice start. Like there's just little things, and it's just one regular season game. The Thunder are 11-3. They've had a really nice start. I mean, this Mavericks team that like looked pretty great last night. They're 7-7. I mean, it's you have to kind of learn through these moments, and also when you're down this many guys, there are gonna be moments of lapse, and like the Thunder, the margin for error is a little bit smaller, but like I just don't think that they played that well last night, and still they were within 2 points of winning. It felt a little bit reminiscent of the game against the Nuggets, where it was like, the Thunder just didn't have it that night, and like not having it is still like having the gumption to like scrap and claw to get this like 2-point loss. I just thought it was just
they had the shot to win it both times.
But both times they did, in like 2 of their worst games of the season.
And where you can clearly pinpoint, hey, they are not playing very well right now. Speaking of Isaiah Joe, I have a theory. This non-number based, very wild theories that I need to. In different time of my life, I would have like sick for stats or whatever. Is it about the fact that when he plays with the bench unit along with Shea, he has so many opportunities that he can create for himself? Whereas with J-Dub and Dort, I don't think that he has the same spaces on the court. I don't think that he...
Listen to this. I have the stat.
Okay.
So when Isaiah Joe's coming off the bench, in 19 minutes, he is averaging on almost 6 attempts from 3, 47.5%, and 46% from the field, 9 points per game. When Isaiah Joe is a starter, this is just kind of mind-boggling to me, by the way. When Isaiah Joe is a starter, he is shooting 27% from 3 and 36% from the field.
Amount of shots? Close to the same?
It's actually more. 7 attempts from 3. 8 shot attempts total as a starter. He has just been much better coming off the bench. And I just wonder if it's just like a rhythm thing. And like the Thunder's intent behind all of this is like to try to uncover whatever they can and try to get these guys to be ready for whatever situation. But I just thought like Isaiah didn't look great as a starter in the playoffs. He hasn't looked good as a starter so far this season. There's numbers to back it up. You just wonder if at some point they will settle on, a particular starting lineup. Some of that's hard with just the group that they have right now. Like,
no, it's definitely not hard. You can just start Hartenstein and be okay with it.
Oh, when he's back.
In general, yes. When Chet is back,
When
doesn't
Chet is
matter.
back, yeah. I mean, they'll start Hartenstein. And who would you have as your 5 starters when Hartenstein comes back?
When Hardenstein comes back, I would love to have Wiggins as the 4th starter. I think it gives a little bit more of size and shooting combined. I love the fact that Kaysen and I wouldn't mind Kaysen as well.
Yeah, I don't mind Kaysen either. Wiggins is shooting 47% as a starter from 3 on 4 attempts per game.
Yeah.
By the way, and let's see if there's much difference. What the difference is there for him?
While you are searching, I'm gonna answer
41% from 3 off the bench. So I mean, like he's doing just fine.
Yeah. There was a question about ski that I want to give into. Mickey, the Alpine ski itch is real. Yes, it is. I'm watching every single morning the webcams. I can't wait. Yeah, it's my thing. When I smell the snow, it's over. It's like this.
That sounds amazing, by the way. I think that I like Kaysen there. I also like Wiggs there. I just like Wiggs scoring off the bench too.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think Hartenstein is obviously getting closer every day, which is just like a very obvious statement to make.
Yeah,
but
it'd be weird if it was the opposite.
Yeah,
getting far every day.
The brace is off, and he's shooting around and obviously probably practicing with the team some too. So I think that he's getting closer, and I'm very intrigued to see what it looks like when he comes back. Hopefully Jay Will is not too far behind him. And then like once you have those 2 back, they're still going to play small in spots, but like it just gives you another way to play. I just wonder too if like this is just has got to be exhausting.
Yeah, it is. And the personnel thing is also important. I mean, against the Clippers, it was not a dramatically different game from the one they just played.
Yeah.
And you have 48 minutes of exhausting beating down because, I mean, Zubac is difficult to guard.
Yeah.
And you can do it once. You can then probably be successful against Gafford, but at some point it put a tax on you.
Against Lively, but then Gafford, it just felt like it was just like, oh my gosh, like that.
Do I have to do it again now?
Again.
With a guy that is even like, it puts a lot of more weight on me. Like it's difficult.
He brings so much more energy too than Lively does. Like Lively was just like, frankly, was not very good last night. On either end to me. Like he was hunting blocks last night, which was kind of weird because he wasn't really that his rookie season. Like he was like, his defense was like really, really solid, and he would get blocks as a result of being in the right spot. Last night, it felt like he was hunting blocks, and the Thunder kind of took advantage of that at times.
Yeah.
Which happens with young guys, and he's a very young player. And it just shows you like the progress is certainly not linear with anybody. I just thought he wasn't very good. But then when Gafford came in, it was just like he was just a beast. Like he was he was a handful for these guys because they would block him out. He would miss a shot, and then there was one possession where he got like I think 2 or 3 offensive rebounds.
Yeah,
it was
just 8.
He had 8, and who was it? Oh, our guy PJ had 6. Like it's just a lot. Like it's just those guys just really brought it, and like those moments were just kind of backbreaking. 18 offensive rebounds last night.
Yeah,
and then the stupid Spencer Dinwiddie shots too. Like those were
that was so bad.
It was one of those moments where I think Thunder fans, if you were to pause the game as the shot's in midair, and then you check in, you do like a live check in on both fan bases, like, hey, Mavs fans, how you feeling about this shot? They're like, I want to die. Like I'd prefer
this is not the shot you want.
Yeah. And then he made 2 of those shots, 2 of the no, yes shots for the Mavs. And for the Thunder fans, it was like, praise be for Spencer Dinwiddie, who is doing his best, Cam Thomas impression here in Oklahoma City, just taking the worst shots imaginable. And he's just making them, like sometimes like good players or I guess decent players make big time shots, and that's just what Spencer Dinwiddie was doing during that stretch. I would not want him on my basketball team, but boy, did he help them last night.
Yeah. I don't know what to say, to be honest with you, about the free throw disparity. I think that OKC was extremely handy, and how do you go when you use too much your hands? But anyway, that one, and also handsy, and also very aggressive. So I don't mind the fact that they were called fouls. Most of those were fouls.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit skeptical though that the disparity should be this big. Part of it is
it's been a trend.
Yeah, it's been a trend, which is weird. I mean, last night they shot a lot from three. Okay, so they did 42 threes, and that means in general less attempts at the rim. But I'm not sure if the number of drives or the number of possession that ended up with a deep position in the post were that dramatically. I think that the rebound battle is what generated the free throws for Dallas. I just think that 25 is a number that doesn't bond well with what OKC does on the court. And this, sooner or later, it will change. I mean, Dub had 11 shots from 2-point range. I would say 80% of that, 70% of that were at the rim. 2 free throws is not going to cut it. It's not proper number for a guy like J-Dub.
Yeah. I wonder if that will start to turn. And he's even like said, I'm not good at getting to the free throw line. Like I asked him about Shea getting to the line, if he's learned anything from that. He's like, I don't know. He's like, that's Shea's thing. There was also an interesting quote last night from J-Dub where he was asked about, like, did they ever sit and think about, like, oh man, there's only so many games until we get Hartenstein back or Jay Will back or whatever, and he was just like, honestly, he's like, no, he's like, that's just kind of a loser mentality to think that way, and he's like, we just are trying to win every single game, and J-Dub was, I mean, last night I think a lot of people feel this way. I don't know that I necessarily feel this way just because I feel like he really battled, but he had 27, 5 and 5 with a steal and a block, 11 of 17 from the field, 3 of 6 from 3, and still people just feel like he left a lot on the table.
Yeah.
He is, and Mark has been like beating this drum since basically the start of the season, is that like, this is a great player. Like he said, I don't know that there are very many players in the NBA that check as many boxes as he does.
Yeah.
Offensively, defensively, scoring at the hoop, scoring in the mid-range, scoring from 3, defending 1 through 5, he does everything that you could ever want a wing to do. And his value is through the roof. And like, also like on top of that, like the attitude stuff is like top notch. The vibes are top notch. Like this is just he's a very special player. And that the fact that we look at his game, like almost anybody else on the team, if they had 27, 5 and 5, we would just be like, oh my gosh, can you believe that so-and-so did this? What an incredible game. Could this guy be this? Could this guy be that? It's like, you know what? Could have been better. That is just like one of those things that is, it's such a huge blessing, like for like the Thunder organization and for Thunder fans and for everybody just to have this guy, because he does have that versatility. He can score at any level. He is just the man. And if he were on the Pistons or the Wizards or, Charlotte or any of these other teams, he would be like clearly the best player. Like, not even close, honestly. Like you think about like LaMelo and Cade and those guys; those are nice players. But I think J-Dub would be. I think clearly people would say like, "Oh no, it's Jalen Williams." We're talking about like the best player on these teams. I just think that he's just this tier above all of those guys.
Yeah, I fully agree. And I really want to see this completeness of his game shine through the season, because I think that he's there. I don't think that he is in the best position right now to succeed. I really think that with Hartenstein back, things will look a lot different, because it will just change a little bit the dynamics of the game.
I think it'll change it a lot, to be honest.
He's not as twitchy as Shea one-on-one. I don't think that he is as able to generate one-on-one situation compared to Shea. And so having a very good screener will help Shea as well. But for Dub, I mean, I think that he can change a lot, because when you have a pick and roll with Dub with a real center that creates space, then as soon as he makes a dribble, he can pull up for a mid-range jumper. He can pull up for a three. He can get the guy while he rolls the basket. Without that, he needs to generate advantage with the dribble, or he needs to do a pick and pop with someone like Isaiah Joe, who is clearly good, but it's not his preferred action. So I really think that he's working extremely well as a guy that can finish play alongside Shea. I really do think that they are missing a little bit in terms of what he was bringing last year, because of the way in which he's playing. Shea is so comfortable in playing five small guys. He just doesn't care. He's a different brand of player.
He enjoys it. Like, he very much enjoys it.
Oh yeah, because I mean, when you have five guys that are glued to their opponent because of the shooting, then Shea can really cook. And this is something that OKC does. And even if Cason Wallace is not shooting the ball like crazy, he has a guy that is close enough to him. So I don't really mind the effect. With Jada, is a little bit different, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's take a quick break. And when we come back, I have a little game that we're going to play. We'll be right back.
Wow.
And we're back after that quick break. Michele, we're going to play a game. It's called Something, Nothing, or Everything. So I'm going to give you just a statement. You have to tell me whether this is just something, if this is nothing, just dismiss it, or if this is everything. Some of these are going to be stats. Some of these are going to be like moments for the Thunder. The first one is Cason Wallace shooting 25% from three. Is this something, nothing, or everything?
I would say this is something, meaning I expect him to be well above 40% kind of shooter based on what he had last season. And I'm not saying that this is something necessarily for the rest of his life. I think that Cason Wallace has changed his body quite a lot. The shot looks nice, better than what it was last year. So I think that this tells us that maybe the 50% was really not predictive of what should happen this year.
Yeah.
Is this everything? Meaning he will be steadily below league average kind of guy? No. But maybe it's this something for me is the sign that either he is having a rough moment, which is okay, or B, is more above average but not stellar shooter than someone that can really shot over 40%.
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree?
Yeah, I agree. I think it is definitely something, because I think that he's probably closer to like a 38-ish% three-point shooter.
Not bad.
Which is good. I think he's above it. I think he'll be above average. I think the defense is good. I just think like similar like with Derek Lively, like these are second year guys. Sometimes like beginning of a second year can be kind of hard, players to get on track, especially ones that exceeded expectations like both those guys did. So I don't know. I think it's certainly something. It's not nothing. Next one, Luguentz Dort is shooting 67.9% in the restricted area this season. Is this something, nothing, or everything, Michele?
It's definitely something. I'm itching towards. It's not everything, but it's close to everything here.
Yeah.
Lou has changed a lot the way in which he drives. He shut down the hey, I'm driving and leaving the ball while running towards the basket. That thing is gone. The way in which he attacks closeouts, it's much different. So I think it's definitely something. Will he be able to be 60% and above for the entire year? I wouldn't bet on it, can this be the best year for Lou Dort? Definitely. This seems to be the best year, not just because of the results right now, but also the choices. He's getting shots at the rim that are off of cuts. I don't have the synergy number in front of me, but I would bet that he's getting more of those compared to the drives, which usually means having a little bit more in terms of.
Last night, the guy was pump faking, getting guys in the air and driving to the hoop, and then not just like trying to finish something crazy, but spraying out to the corner. He was awesome.
Yeah,
Lou,
awesome.
Lou is an improving basketball player. I think that we probably are guilty of getting like carried away with thinking that Lou is just like is who he is, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we've done that probably year after year. But Lou is an improving basketball player and has been since he got into the NBA. Lou has gotten better every year, and there was a lot to clean up. There was a reason why he was undrafted. You know, there was a lot to clean up with his game, with the shooting, like the first thing. The shot selection became another thing. And like I feel like defensively he's better this year. I feel like offensively he's better this year. I mean, you know, when we talk about like overlapping primes and like the primes of these guys' careers, we very rarely talk about Luguentz Dort. And in fact, we probably never talk about Luguentz Dort. We're talking about primes of their careers. And a lot of times you don't talk about the primes of role players. Like, I get it. But Lou Dort has been clearly, in the absence of Chet, the third best player on the team. And I don't think it's particularly close. He has been awesome. Like the three ball, obviously with the three ball falling, that it makes things like, obviously he's shooting 46% from three. You know, he's been the best shooter on the team, you know, this season on, again, 5 attempts per game, which is where he's just kind of been. But then you have him finishing at the rim. Yeah, he's making good reads. He's just an absolute menace as a defender. You know, he's been really, really good and like consistently good for the Thunder. And so,
by the way, double the amount on cuts compared to last season. He was 6% of his possession in situation where he was cutting to the basket at 1.4 points per possession. Right now it's 12% at 1.5. That is something that I'm glad that I'm lucky that the numbers are saying this. But it
matches what you watch. Like it just matches what like you thought you saw, you know?
Yeah. Which it's not always the case, but in this case it is. I was a bit convinced that this could be a case. Yeah, I mean, so it's probably not everything because again, a regression probably still bound to happen, but definitely a substantial something.
Yeah. I might even call it everything. I'm just a big
Yeah. I mean, I would not be.
He's one of the best role players in the NBA. Like he's by far the best. I think he is the best perimeter role player in the history of the Thunder.
Wow.
That may sound crazy, but I don't even think that it's particularly close. Like he's better than Thabo, you know.
I think that I mean, you were ready to tattoo Dion Waiters on your butt, and now, no, he is. Lou definitely is making a case for being the best perimeter.
Who else is in the running here?
No, Paul George. Sorry, is I think that
I mean, like Andre was probably a better defender, but like offensively had nothing. You know,
no. He's over that. He's over Andre by far. He's over Thabo for sure.
Oh, he's
over both.
Defensively, he's over Andre. You think?
He's not far, and offensively is just different.
Oh yeah. I don't think it's close. That's what I'm saying. It's like I don't think it's close. I think honestly, if there's going to be guys that are going to challenge him, it's probably guys that are on the team right now. You know, it's probably Caruso and it's probably Cason Wallace. You know, guys that could challenge him, but like neither of those guys have been better than Lou so far this season.
and it's so hard to evaluate the defense of a single player in a the impact of a single player on the team. Andre was the best defender on a very poor defensive scheme, defensive structure. And so as soon as he went missing, the defense collapsed, mainly because the pick and roll partnership on defense of him and Steve-O was something so good that whenever that stopped, then like everything ceased working. If Lu Dort doesn't play a game for the rest of the season, which again I really hope it doesn't happen, I don't think that OKC will the defense will collapse. I think that in certain matchups you could clearly see that, and I think in numbers you will see that this is a worse defense overall.
They just have adequate replacements, whereas like they literally had to bring Corey Brewer in.
Yeah,
who wasn't playing
on roller skates, whatever.
Very, very important to them. And like the Thunder, they've got guys. You know, they are missing Alex Caruso. I mean, they're missing like all their bigs outside of Kenrich. And like Caruso's like one of their bigs. Like,
and Kenrich should not be a big.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So I don't know. Okay, next statement. AJ Mitchell closed the game last night for the Thunder. Is this something, nothing, or everything, McKelly?
Yeah, more. I'm torn between nothing and something.
Okay.
I don't even agree with the. If I'm being completely honest, I'm not even sure that would have been. I don't know how to evaluate that.
You wouldn't have chosen that. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, but as I was saying, it's meaningless because I wouldn't. I mean, my opinion doesn't really count. I think that having someone who
counts to me.
Yeah, I mean, I know that it was working, but at some point, the guy, when you have a young guy, it's really hard to make him produce for an extended amount of time. And this is more the reason. He did fine. I just wonder if this was a time to give Kayson another opportunity to improve his game, because defensively he was having a good night anyway. And it's not that Mitchell was having something spectacular. Without Shai, I agree that he's the best option to lead a certain offense. With Shai on the court, I don't know. So to me, is close to nothing. He was playing well, but I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing with AJ is just like he just kind of fits in, you know. As far as like it being an indicator of what's to come, I think it's nothing, you know. As far as like for this season of like who's closing games, I just think that they just found a spot where they could use him. You know, you're down several guys, so I just think that's probably nothing. In the sense of like, hey, they found somebody.
Yeah.
The draft, like I think it's everything. You know, AJ knows how to move the ball. Like he just knows how to be a Thunder player. I think the Thunder just like plucked this guy out of the draft, and he was just clearly created to be a Thunder player.
Shout out to Sam Vecini saying that he would have loved the picks in the reverse order.
Yeah, at the draft.
Yeah,
with Dylan and him. Yeah. Sure.
Or just having like semi first round grades on AJ.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to a lot of people, and a lot of people are, and now it could be just like confirmation bias, or just like people just saying like, oh yeah, I definitely had a first round grade on that guy, you know. But
but Sam Vecini said it like 5 seconds after the pick, so that opinion counts. That opinion does count. Yeah. That is. Hey, I have first round grades on him. Period. At the night of the draft, without having seen even summer league, even after summer leagues. Yeah, you could have said that, but it's no. It was 5 minutes. It wasn't on the show during the draft. Yeah. So that counts. AJ's great, man. Yeah. Suppose that Topic comes back tomorrow. Do you think he plays or not? Yeah. I mean, this is the Oklahoma City Thunder. Of course he plays. Yeah, everyone plays. Do you think AJ? My question was, do you think AJ plays over Topic, or do we expect Topic to be better than this? I kind of hope he is better than this. I mean, that's the hope. I mean, he's a lottery pick. You kind of hope he's better, but I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. It could be.
I mean, I honestly just don't know. I need to see him play in the NBA.
Yeah, I don't know what to expect.
I don't either.
Which is a luxury. But anyhow.
Yeah.
Come on, next one. I want to play.
Isaiah Hartenstein warming up without a brace. Is this something, nothing, or everything?
It is everything. He will come back over the next 7 days.
I hope so. I hope he comes back for the Domas game. That's what I hope. Which is
when is that?
On Monday, a week from today.
Wow. Let's see if my prediction, my bold,
you need him to be back for your prediction to be correct.
Exactly. Let's see. Do I win a belt if that happens?
Yeah, Luke will buy you a belt.
Okay. No, I just you can just Photoshop it on my head. Put it on the show. That would be enough.
Oh man. The Thunder are getting to Vegas for the NBA Cup. Is this something, nothing, or everything? If they make it to Vegas,
I would say something in this question is not really an answer. It's either nothing or everything.
Yeah.
What is
it to you? This is more of like just you.
I don't particularly care. So for me, it's nothing. Is it nice for OKC? Sure. For them, it should be something, not everything. Will they succeed? Am I confident? Window of the way, I think that they will lose a dumb game and not be able to participate for just that dummy reason.
It's everything to me. I want them to go.
Oh yeah, you're going there.
I'll be there.
Wow, then it's everything to me as well.
Yeah, it'd be amazing if they were there. So yeah, it's everything to me. I'll be in Vegas anyways. So yeah, give me the Thunder in Vegas. It'll just make my life that much better for sure.
Suppose that you can pick 2 games that you pick. The Thunder are there. What are the 2 opponents that you really want OKC playing in those 2 games?
Oh, let me look at these
just
real quick.
Yeah, just to be clear, they play 2 games, so you know that you can beat one team, and then you play the other, but you don't know the result. So you're sure to beat one, but you're not sure to win it all. Choose wisely.
Yeah, because you want this to be a challenge. You want this to be a challenge.
Yeah, it can be Charlotte. I will just end the pod and go away if you pick Charlotte.
Okay, so in the Thunder's group, they've got to beat the Lakers, San Antonio, Utah. It's actually a quite easy group to get through.
Yeah.
So hopefully they don't screw that up. I would. Okay, so by the time they get to Vegas, the assumption is they've got Hartenstein. They hopefully have Jay Will. They're more equipped to play. Hopefully Caruso's back.
What is the prognosis on Caruso?
It's a strained hip. So nothing had changed. It's just Mark said that the league I guess the league had them change his status because of, I guess you couldn't have soreness on there for as long as they did. So I don't really know. But yeah, I'm not totally sure. Mark doesn't want to talk about injuries or update us on injuries either. So anyways, okay. So groups, let's see, ABC for the Cup. I mean, out of the Western Conference, I would kind of like to see the Thunder play. It would be kind of fun to see them play the Mavericks again in the Cup to get to the finals, or even Golden State, I think would be fun.
Yeah.
And then as far as like a team from the Eastern Conference, God, just what a putrid conference. Wouldn't it be cool though if like it was like Thunder Cavs and the Thunder beat the Cavs in the for the Cup?
Yeah,
that'd be fun. But honestly,
boring.
I think it would probably be Oh, what wild card East team would get there? Because Indy was there last year, just as this real wild card. I just believe in so few teams in the Eastern Conference. It is just such a pathetic conference.
Yeah.
I mean, like Boston and Cleveland are in the same group, which is
So it's just one.
kind of wild. Then Milwaukee, God, Detroit, Milwaukee, Miami, Indiana, Toronto. Blah.
Wow.
Orlando, New York, Brooklyn, Charlotte, Philly. Also really gross. Maybe New York. Maybe it's the Knicks.
Knicks is better than the Cavs. Cavs are boring.
Let's go Knicks, and that way I'll pull Fred Katz onto
Yeah.
a pod
This-
with me.
This is talking.
Yeah. That would be everything to me. Getting to podcast with Fred Katz after a Thunder Knicks Cup final. That would be great.
Fantastic. Wow.
That would be amazing. That would
Can
be
I join remotely and do it with you? That would be a blast.
absolutely. Count on it.
Then it's not going to happen. But anyhow,
No, it's definitely not happening.
I ruined it. I just ruined it. I realized that.
Yeah. Also, like Mikal Bridges is just sad. It's just
Yeah,
sad.
he has time to get better.
That's the most positive thing you can say.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? Do we miss anything? Is there something else that we should talk about before we go? Let me double check just to make sure. Lou Dort passed Paul George for sixth in Thunder's all-time scoring list. That's kind of cool.
Oh, Lou Dort.
Shout out to Lou Dort.
Guys, sometimes I went back and watched games. He's a changed man.
He is.
This is such a success story. This gives me hope in my day job about like individual development. Sometimes I'm a little bit skeptical on guys changing really dramatically the way in which they work, because this is in the end work. And Lou Dort, that guy, started off as like a beast. He was doing one thing extremely well, not afraid to do everything else, and doing it at such a high level. And then went through a transformation where he's asked to do stuff that he was doing in college, but was not really ready to do it at a high level in the NBA. 2 years, he scores. He starts to smell money, big time money. And then he moves into, hey, now that you all see that I can do just about everything on the court, but not really as a primary guy, I can get the Jordan Poole contract somewhere. I can get now look me becoming one of the top 5 defensive guard in the NBA, plus one of the most efficient, available, smart player around.
Yeah.
Shout out.
He's been amazing. Oh, the thing that we didn't touch on is that the Thunder signed a new player.
Oh yeah, the tall 35 guy from Toronto, which I'm sorry, I read the name 7 times.
Carlson. Yeah, Brandon Carlson. So saw him last night. He was there in the locker room. I went back in the locker room, and Brandon Carlson was in there putting on his Thunder stuff. So shout out to Brandon for joining the team. So I got a message from Blake Murphy, who used to cover, or he covers the Raptors now, but he used to work at The Athletic with me. And Blake said that he's a really smart player. He can shoot and protect the rim, and that he was on the quote unquote Kelly Olynyk mentorship program in training camp. He said right down to the snapback hat. So shout out to Brandon Carlson for joining the Thunder. We'll see. I thought he looked pretty good. I remember watching him in the Summer League against the Thunder when he was in Toronto. He looked pretty good. So we'll see. Likely Brandon is going to play a lot for the Blue, and that'll be that. So I don't think this is like reinforcements or anything coming in because they need a big. I think it's just, hey, kind of like this guy, and let's let's get an opportunity to take a look at him and probably get him and play with the blue. So anyways, I think that's probably about it. Okay. Thanks so much for listening to the show. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple, or any other podcatcher, please check out our YouTube page. Would very much appreciate that. If you're watching on YouTube right now, which a lot of people are watching live, you'll just hit the like button right now and not necessarily comment in the chat, but comment on the video. Leave us a comment on the video about anything that's going on with the Thunder. You can put a question there, but would love to have comments actually on the video. Let's see. Nothing else really coming up. Again, thanks for everybody for being at Down to Dunk night a couple weeks ago. That really just meant the world to me. It was very fun. And then, I keep seeing dunkers at the games. It's an absolute joy to see all these dunkers. There was a dunker last night from Australia who's here for the week, and got to chat with him for a bit. Always good to chat with everybody. I still have a bunch of stickers that I'm just throwing in my back pocket before games. I've given away a ton of Down to Dunk stickers, which has been just a joy. And so I'd love to keep doing that. So I'll continue to restock if you guys keep asking for them. So if you see me at the arena, just know that I've got Down to Dunk stickers. Would love to give you one. Hope you guys are doing great, and we will talk to you guys again on Wednesday.